Hey, Tech Peeps, welcome back to the show. We're gonna pick up our conversation from last time with Joshua, who is a software developer at Big Viking Games in Canada. In part one of this episode, we spoke with Joshua about how he started his journey, right from college, and how he was able to navigate the tech scene in Nigeria, and how he was able to learn programming after school, what worked for him and what didn't. So if you haven't seen that video, I recommend you go watch it. I'll leave a link to that video in the description. Well, this time we are going to focus more on Joshua's, experiences, work experiences, and how he was able to properly position himself for opportunities and the stuff that he did that worked for him in terms of being able to craft a really good CV and where to apply for jobs and how to apply and all of that. So definitely looking forward to that one. Stay tuned and let's just dive in. Think that makes like a lot of sense. Building on like first learning the fundamentals and building on
Yeah,
that. And the other people that I've interviewed on the show so far, have, like mentioned these same things. So that seems to be like the core, right? First learn the
yeah,
fundamentals and then you build on it. Now, let's say for people that have, like done some of these things and they have like reasonably good skills, that want to look for opportunities and stuff. I understand that having the skills is one bit, but also like positioning yourself to attract like opportunities, especially when it comes to like these remote and foreign opportunities. Having a good CV, all of those things. How would you like advise people that have done the first step? Right now I know how to code. I've built some projects. I think I'm ready. How would you like advise them to position themselves to be able, what are some of the things they need to do to be able to attract like some of these opportunities?
firstly, I would say one is to keep learning. Okay, keep learning. There are definitely better ways to do things. Uh, they are more optimized than how you currently do your own things. So keep learning. You did mention build projects, and that was something I was going to say, like build projects, because you think that the theory is enough, okay, or you're able to put one or two things together. Like I was able to write a function, but writing that same function within an application is different, okay, because you are putting there's more things to consider at this point. So building an application, which was something that also helped me. There's this application I built, Easy Vote. Building that gave me a better idea of how to like come across building applications, and building that application gives you something to show forth. So people say, what have you built, what can you do, and you can say, okay, there's this application I have. You can check it out at this URL. Okay, that also pushes you out there. It shows that you have the competence to be able to do some of the work that they want you to do. And also don't be scared of like putting a public profile. And I mean, LinkedIn is one of the easiest ways you can just do that. Ensure you have like a good comprehensive LinkedIn profile. I would, at least, even if you are not so active, right, just have your profile out there. Okay, and if you are a person who is more socially oriented and you can post about on your social, you do post around your socials. I'm not that kind of person. But I mean, I'm trying to be okay, more open and on the social space and all that. But if you're somebody who is active on the social space, don't just post about your favorite music, the food you ate, where you hang out. I mean, those are great and all that, but also talk about what you do. Okay, let people also know that you have these skills and you can bring it to the table. Then the most important of all this is apply for jobs. A lot of people wait till they are ready, and you will never be ready. Okay, every single job I've done, I didn't have all the skills to do it. In fact, the people employing you know that you don't have all the skills to do it. Okay, what they want to see is, do you have a basic understanding? Okay, and are you willing to learn? So apply for jobs. There's this very funny story. It's so funny because I was to help interview a developer for a role, and then this developer comes on the call after some technical issues and all that, and he says he saw that the role is for a more senior position, and he doesn't think that he can take that role, and so he would like to ask to cancel the interview. Okay, so I was shocked, very shocked, and because honestly, your CV was there. They clearly saw your CV, and you were still invited for the interview, right? So don't self-reject. Okay, if an opportunity is brought before you, take it, do your best. Now, will you get the job? Well, I don't know, you might not. Okay, it doesn't guarantee that you will get it. Okay, but you have learned, you have put yourself out there, you might be considered for other opportunities later on. So applying for a job is great, and it also gives you an idea of what is in the market. Okay, what is in the market, what skills you need to focus on, where you are lacking. Okay, funny enough, interviews kind of like open your eyes to where you're lacking and what you need to open up. And I would just add one more thing: the skill set, especially if you are a new developer, I will advise that you focus more on skills that are in demand. Okay, you might want to use some fancy programming language that's cool and trending, and maybe they are doing sophisticated stuff with it, but is the job market available for that specific role? And if you keep focusing on it, well, will you get a job later on? Yes, probably you will, but will you persevere to that point? Because it might take a longer time. Okay, so why don't you start with something that is more in demand? And while you do that, you also develop the skill for what you actually want. So as you are growing, when you become more experienced, you have the luxury to choose, okay, no, I don't want this job, I want this job. But when you're starting, you need that experience. So go for more in demand skills.
You spoke about like LinkedIn, um, how they can present themselves and also like encouraging them to apply for jobs. I think one of the things that most people struggle with, especially like in the beginning, is, crafting a really good CV, like, and that kind of makes a first impression to like potential hiring managers and recruiters.
Mhm.
What are the things that they should really pay attention to when they are crafting like their CV to give them like a good shot.
All right. First, I would just like to say that uh, there are some templates you can get online and information about how you can construct your CV. So you don't have to like build your CV in isolation. You can definitely get some information about how you can go about that. That said, if you are somebody who doesn't have experience, it means that your experience section wouldn't really stand out for you. But what work can you show? So you should have the portfolio, okay, of what you have built. Might be a calculator app, might be a to-do list, okay, just something, and highlighting your skills that you know would be of more benefits to you. And if you have an educational degree, great, because you don't have an experience, so let your degree compensate that for you. If you don't have a degree as well, then you need to do more in regards to what you have built and the skills that you have. If you have if you have more experience, then you need to show your experience, not just by writing it, okay, not just by writing like I have this experience, but showing what you did during that with that experience and what that experience accomplished. Okay, so it is easy to say, I worked as a software developer at X company. I built an e-commerce website using Java. Okay, it's easy to say that, but what would be more better is, I worked as a software developer at S company. I built an e-commerce system that handles 2 million customers and improved our process to increase revenue by 3%. Okay. And you don't have to lie here, and you shouldn't, because you would compromise yourself. But you also um don't have to be the sole person. So for instance, you are not the only person who increased revenue by 3%, right? But you were able to like maybe design a button that made it easier for customers to check out, and that increased revenue. So you contributed to the whole process of that. So put it there, you did it. So you should own your work. Okay, so something I'm also learning as well, because it's like we try to like, oh no, 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 I didn't really do that. No, you're part of it. Okay. I mean, it comes to this story about someone who met some workers working on a building, and he asked one, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm just laying some bricks, working, laying some bricks and putting some cement here." And he asked another, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Wow, we're building one. I'm building one of the most, one of the largest buildings that's going to be in this environment, and it's going to attract a lot of tourists." Okay, they were doing the same work. They were doing the same work, but one person is saying the whole big picture of what he's contributing towards to. And we should take that approach when writing our CVs as well. So if you have the experience, please put it in there. You're part of it. Own your work.
Most of the time, when we are talking about like skills, like I think most often we focus more on the technical skills and the hard skills.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I'm sure like in your experience, you've had, situations where it was, the other skills, which we call soft skills, that really like made a difference, right? So
Yeah.
what are some of these skills or some of these things that other people can pay attention to, which can complement the technical skills that they have, which would, put them like, on a higher level to get.
Yeah. So your soft skills are really important, and just like you rightly mentioned, people focus a lot on your hard or your technical skills, and which is great, because obviously you need those. But most times you find out that people who have better soft skills are not as much strong of technical skills, will actually go further, okay, than somebody who is just building on like technical skills and all that. And at the same time, you need to find a way to make your CV communicate that. I'm not a fan of having a soft skill section on your CV. I'm not a fan of it. Putting soft skills, communication, listing each of them out. But what I'm a fan of is incorporating that into the description of your roles. Okay, so you can, to show that you are a good collaborator, you can say, "I collaborated with the QA team and this other team in building a project for a successful launch." Okay, that shows that you have those. So what are some of those soft skills that you can actually focus on? You must be able to communicate. Okay, everybody talks, not everybody communicates. Okay, so you must be able to communicate with the people you're working with. If you do interface with the customer, you need to be able to receive communication from them. And that is something that can be learned as well, just as you learn your technical skills. You can learn and be a better communicator. And I would say the first step to actually start being a better communicator is to be a better listener. If you can listen to people more, you would have a better idea of how to respond. Not just listening to respond, but listening to understand what the person wants and give an appropriate response. So communication, you just absolutely need that. Um, I don't know. Do you want me to talk about more about some of the soft skills, or some of the soft skills and I think that people should learn? I don't know if I should start
Yeah,
listing them out now.
yeah. I don't know if we have like a lot of time for that, but
Yeah.
the things that you've already like mentioned are like very valuable. I guess the last question that I have, which time permits, is, obviously you've been through all these. I'm sure there were like challenges that you faced along the way, and there were times that you felt like maybe this is not for me or I should quit. Like, were there any specific challenges that you faced, like specific things, and how were you able to overcome these?
Okay. Well, a lot. Okay. I'll just talk about three brief ones. One was when I started, I didn't really have access to the internet. Okay, so but luckily I was able to navigate through that one by getting downloaded resources from a couple of friends and also getting offline reading materials. That's helped a lot. Now I can easily look up stuff online, so that has been handled. When I was learning, oh, good. I'm so good at JavaScript now that I sometimes forget how it was when I started. When I started learning it, and there was a point I just left it. Honestly, I stopped learning JavaScript. I got PHP a bit more easier than JavaScript. I don't know why, but I love JavaScript and focused on like PHP and Java. Funny enough, I was learning Java before JavaScript. That's a story for another day. But yeah, but that's that part that you're not so sure that if you are able to understand this, and it's very tempting to just like, you know what, I probably should look for something else. Okay, but if you can push through it, especially if it's something you really want, I tell people like, don't come to tech because of money or because of the jobs. You would get frustrated because when you start learning some of these things, it becomes so confusing for you to you, and you can get tired. But if it's something you really want to do, at least you would see something that can push you to keep learning. And the third thing I'll talk about is looking for a job. Okay, a lot of people say, "Oh, there's tech jobs around." Yes, there are jobs, but it's not always that straightforward to just get a tech job. There's interview, and interview preparing for an interview is a job on its own. Okay, and you have to deal with the rejections. You have to deal with the no's. Okay, there's some jobs that did study for and still didn't get it. Okay, but it's best for you to be prepared so that when the opportunity does come, you are able to like take it and do the best with it. Yeah.
Fortunately, that's all the time we have, but like very profound conversation myself. Like I learned a lot from this, and I'm sure like many other people are going to benefit from this. Thanks a lot for having the time to do this.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on your show. Uh, it's good to be here and to share what I had to share.